The aftermath of an airstrike at a Gaza hospital that killed hundreds of people has sparked outrage around the world. Many pro-Palestinian gatherings have been taking place across several countries. Meanwhile, after his visit to Israel today, U.S. President Joe Biden says Egyptian leader Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has agreed to open the Rafah border crossing to allow around 20 trucks carrying humanitarian aid to enter Gaza. Manisa Danabalan joins us live in studio with the very latest updates. Manisa.
Taz, Biden says the much-needed aid from Egypt might not arrive until Friday. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office says it will allow limited aid to flow into Gaza, but only refers to food, water, and medicine, not fuel. Israel says supplies will flow as long as they don't reach Hamas. And just hours ago, reports surfaced that an airstrike landed close to another Gaza hospital, but there's no word from the Israeli Defense Forces about the strikes. Another airstrike was hit near a Gaza hospital, according to the Palestinian Red Crescent. This comes after Biden held meetings in Tel Aviv today, delivering his message that America is firmly behind Israel following the deadly Hamas attack almost 2 weeks ago. Since the attack, 1,400 people in Israel have died.
I can't speak publicly about all the details, but let me assure you, for me, as the American president, there's no higher priority than the release and safe return of all these hostages.
He also added that Hamas does not represent the Palestinian people. Biden also backed what Israel is saying about yesterday's hospital blast, adding U.S. Defense Department data suggests Israel was not responsible.
I was outraged and saddened by the enormous loss of life yesterday in the hospital in Gaza. Based on the information we've seen to date, it appears the result of an errant rocket fired by a terrorist group in Gaza.
Authorities in Gaza say Israel was responsible, while the Israeli Defense Forces say it was a failed rocket launched by the Palestinian Islamic Jihad group.
If you follow the course of the rocket, you can see that it malfunctions very soon after takeoff. It lands. We also can confirm by that audio conversation between the two Hamas operatives that they're saying, one is saying to the other, it was fired by Islamic Jihad in the cemetery behind the hospital. And the other one was asking, are you sure? He says, yes, and it landed on top of the hospital.
The blast killed hundreds of Palestinians who were wounded and many seeking shelter. Protesters took to the streets in Jordan's capital city, in Iraq, Iran, Yemen, and the West Bank. Turkey has declared 3 days of national mourning as thousands of people demonstrated outside Israeli diplomatic missions. And hundreds of demonstrators clashed with Lebanese security forces near the U.S. Embassy in Beirut. Broken buildings can be seen in the Gaza City skyline today as the residents brace for an expected ground invasion from Israel. Yesterday, more Israeli tanks and military vehicles gathered near Gaza's border. The Palestinian Health Ministry says over 3,400 Palestinians have been killed and 12,000 wounded in Gaza since October 7th. Meanwhile, tensions are rising to the north at the Israel and Lebanon border, where Hezbollah has been exchanging fire with Israeli soldiers. Earlier today, the United States vetoed a UN resolution that would have condemned all violence against civilians in the Israel-Hamas war and urged humanitarian aid to Palestinians in Gaza. A U.S. ambassador criticized the resolution for not saying anything about Israel's right to self-defense.